Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner. Uh, Tim Kruger, along with my partner Ross Ferrarini. Ross, how you doing today on this beautiful day?
Yeah, I'm all good. Feels nice to be out of the woods on the winter nonsense. I mean, I guess I should knock on wood. Hopefully, I'm assuming we are, but we'll see if there's any surprises in March. But yeah, no, it
Well,
feels good. Great weather.
look, even if we get a few cold days with some snow, it's not going to be like it was. That's
No, no,
we can
no. I
handle
think
that.
we're past all that,
Yeah.
thankfully.
The only
So
thing that
yeah,
sucked was we had snow. If we hadn't had snow, man, I'd have been on the links today. Um,
yep.
Well, welcome to the show. A little later on, Ed Servais is going to join us. Ross is only going to be with us for a little bit, and then we're gonna talk some things, and then we'll have head baseball coach Ed Servais. We haven't had him on this spring. We usually try and get him on before the season starts. They've already had a couple series, so we'll talk to him about that and how excuse me, how everything else is going. Ross, you were on the call yesterday. My God, what does Bishop just do? Go to Blue Jay Banner and just pull everybody we have on? Because now Wednesday, Austin's on the call.
Always on the call with John Wednesday.
Yeah,
Oh, nice. Awesome. Awesome. I
I
didn't
just
realize
found
that.
out that I just saw it today.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, yeah. Austin should be pretty good at that. Yeah, no, I felt bad for Stormberg. I think he had like the flu. So John texted me late Friday. So yeah, it was all good, but got some good alumni weekend stuff in, which I think that was kind of the first iteration of them trying to do that. But I think if they continue to want to do that in the coming years, I probably should look a little bit better as far as maybe just planning all of it out and everything. So, but it was still saw some really good people and we all went to practice. A bunch of us went to practice on Saturday morning, and then there was a kind of a deal at Old Mattress Factory Saturday night, and talked to a whole bunch of guys, and yeah, it was fun.
Well, number one, if you're like the other alumni I talked to, the fact you were doing radio kept you from having to go on the court, so you were happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't have to go trotting out on the court at halftime. So, but yeah, it was a fun game yesterday. It kind of started off a little bit crazy, obviously, but we're able to settle in and do some things. It's amazing. It was how much Jemiah has just completely helped this team. I mean, and
Yeah,
it didn't. I thought, I did I said this on the broadcast with John yesterday. Like I did the first two games of the year with him, Rio Grande Valley and Fairleigh Dickinson, and I didn't really know what to expect. I don't, I don't go to practice near as much as you do, and I just kind of get tidbits on things here and there. But I was like, whoa, I was like, this Neil kid, like he's got some things to work out, but he can play a little bit. Like he sees the floor better than I thought. Like, he's just kind of got a decent feel for the game. And it's just been awesome to watch him from like those first couple of games of the year. Then obviously work through some growing pains and maybe a couple of other games, but now he's like a certified stud. And
yeah,
it's just been
absolutely.
fun to watch.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a second, but I just want to get back to alumni. You mentioned it. Like I didn't know there was an alumni week until Sunday morning. Like they did nothing to
Yeah.
promote this. This was horribly promoted.
Yeah, I think I just think it was their kind of their first time trying it. I think they'll, I still think I give credit to Marcus and a couple of his guys. Brian Hanna, I think was the main guy that kind of headed it on, of kind of organizing things relatively last minute, and so there were still some guys there. But yeah, I think in the future they'll probably promote it maybe a little bit more, send some things out a little bit earlier, and get guys there. Hopefully, maybe do like a Saturday game or something like that. Kind of a fun Saturday game, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty fun going forward. But they still did a good job with things, and it was fun to catch up with a lot of people.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw I saw a former Blue Jay Banner alum, Caleb Corver, there and on the
Yeah,
half court, and then I saw him up on the big street, so I ran over to see him because I hadn't seen him forever, and he was
yeah,
really excited. He hadn't seen me either, and we had a nice chat. But he too said the same thing. He goes, "I didn't know I had to go on the floor today." I was like,
yeah, yeah. No, I saw.
and
Yeah, it was awesome.
Coinga Coinga sits right over by me, and I'm like, "How come you didn't go down?" He goes, "Nope."
Yeah, that fits in with Coinga for sure. But no, it was good to see all those guys. Like I saw Coinga on Saturday at practice. Hung out. I hadn't seen Caleb in forever. And it was good to see Caleb. Chad Miller was at practice on Saturday, and then also at the Mattress Factory deal on Saturday night. Dort was there.
Yeah.
We were all kind of sitting at the same table, laughing, telling stories with Brody Darren, and Matt West was there. Jimmy Moats was there. I talked
Matt
to,
West. There's a name out of the
yeah,
past.
Matt's a great guy. Talked to Joel Templeton, who was on Dana's first couple of teams here. He came over from Des Moines. So yeah, there's some good guys from the '90s that were in here, and some guys that were on teams, a couple of decades back with
Okay. Hey, Russ, we're going to get
yep.
Ed's already waiting. So we'll get him on. You hang on as long as you can, and maybe we'll get back to the hoops here in a little bit and
Yeah, that works.
get
That works
through.
for me.
There's
That
Coach.
works for me.
Coach is having a little help.
Might be all good now.
Can you hear us, Coach?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right.
When you get to be our age, you got to have help getting this
Yes.
electronic.
Yeah. No doubt.
How
I can't deny that.
you doing?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, man?
Been forever, man.
Yeah, it has.
We had one Hilltoppers canceled, so I was hoping to see you then. But yeah, we like to get you on before the season. We just didn't get to it. So wow, we're two weekends in already.
It's
Um, I
something.
guess when you go to Portland, if you can get 3 out of 4 in with their weather, that's a good thing.
That was very good because
And so we're
rained
three and
hard.
three coming out. What's your basic just takeaway from the first 2 weekends?
Very typical. A lot of early season mistakes, hitters, a little timing issues. Haven't seen enough live pitching. So I think it's very, very typical of what we've seen throughout the years. And normally it takes until about the middle of March before you really get a really good feel for your club. So we're still a couple weeks out from getting there, but I'd say very typical of early season baseball. A lot of walks, a few mistakes defensively that you hope to clean up as you continue.
Yeah, I got to get to a guy in your roster because you're going to know Minnesota boy. I was going through your roster about 2 months ago, and whoa, this name jumped out at me, and I looked where he's from, and he said it's got to be Ian Kuzman, who is Jerry Kuzman's great nephew, who was
Yes.
pitcher with the Mets, Miracle Mets in '69, also a pitcher with the Twins, and he was from Central Minnesota. He's from Morris, and I went to school with a bunch of guys from Morris. So I used to go down and visit him, and he has his own bar down there called the Mets Lounge, which I probably spent more time in than I should have. But Central Minnesota was always very proud of the fact that he was from there and so forth. So it's cool. So how did you get Ian on the team? How did you find him?
Well, the middle of the summer, and we were still looking to add some pitching depth. We thought pitching depth was an area that we needed to upgrade over last year. And he was a junior college player down in Arizona. The junior college players are getting overlooked now because of the
Yeah,
transfer portal. So he was available. Our recruiting coordinator, Mike Current, did a lot of research on him, found out that we thought it was going to be a good fit, a strike thrower, athletic right-hander. So we were able to get him. And, he was one of the better guys out there at the junior college level. And I don't think he's available a few years ago, but now he is because of the transfer portal. So, glad to have him. He had a really good fall for us. He's off to a little bit of a slow start this spring, but we still have high expectations for him.
yeah, because he's been your Friday starter so far, right?
Yeah, and we would have had Eli Nissen as our Friday starter. Eli
Yeah,
went down about 10 days ago. So then we moved Ian Koosman into that Friday slot. I think we're going to probably move him back into Saturday and move Shea Went back into Friday, just to see if we can get Ian going a little bit. But he looked as good as any pitcher we had in the fall. And just like I said, he's just off to a little bit of a slow start.
Um, so you come back with pretty veteran roster, but like you said, it's got to be nice to have a day like today. Now you get dreams of getting outside and practicing outside, right?
Yeah, and obviously last week we weren't outside. It was so darn cold and we had some snow, but because of the good weather on Sunday and then today on Monday here, we'll be outside tomorrow and Wednesday. And at this time of year, it's really hard for these college players to go outside, inside, outside, play a couple games and go back inside. It's hard for them to get as much done. So we're optimistic now that maybe we have that really cold weather behind us and that we can be consistently outside and start to see some improvement. You got to practice outside to really get that next level of improvement
Oh
that we're
yeah,
looking for.
yeah, absolutely. So you're headed to Charleston this weekend, huh?
Yes,
College of Charleston.
yes.
What
And
uh, what do you know about them?
well, they're 5-2, and they're very athletic. They're going to create some issues for us. You know, the bunt game, the stolen base game. They have 18 out of 19 stolen bases already, which is a lot of stolen bases at this time of year. So they're going to put some pressure on us. Their pitching staff is strike throwers, which is very rare right now. If you look across the landscape of college baseball, you're seeing way too many walks, but they've only issued 19 walks in 7 games, so that's pretty good. So they're going to have some strike throwers on the mound. So we're going to have some chances. We're going to have some pitches to hit, and you know it's time for us to now to take a big step. You know, we're kind of in neutral right now. We're playing okay, but we know that there's another level of play that we have in us. So I'm looking forward to a couple of really good solid days of practice outside, and this will be the best team we played up to this point. And it's a good opportunity for us. A lot of people have heard of College of Charleston. They won 41 games last year. I think they're going to go get to a regional this year. So it'll be a good gauge for us as far as where we're at this time of year.
A great test for you, and crazy it may seem, we're we're not far away from our home opener here.
Oh, no, yeah. A week from Friday now, we'll play UC Davis at home. I just talked to Dan, the field supervisor for the stadium. He still has the heating blankets on, so he'll be taking the blankets off tomorrow. The snow should be gone, and now it's just a matter of how much, frozen precipitation do we have in the ground that we have to get out, so we can get that game in. But he's optimistic that we'll be in good shape come next weekend. The temperatures, if you can believe a 10-day forecast, which sometimes is hard to believe, right? Is looking like the upper 40s to around 50, which for this time of year, pretty good.
Oh
So
yeah, oh yeah,
we're gonna get some great weather out in Charleston this weekend, and hopefully we don't have any precipitation here, and we'll get our home opener in a week from Friday.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was talking to somebody just the other day. We brought it. I don't know how it came up, but if you remember when we opened TD Ameritrade Park with Nebraska, it's cold today. And I mean, it was cloudy, wind was blowing, it's about 34 degrees, man. It was,
Yeah, and 18,000 people came out.
yeah,
The
yeah,
testament to the fans and the excitement for the stadium and the game between Nebraska and Creighton. And a good thing, Tim, too, is as cold as it was that night, and I know about half the crowd left about middle of the game because it was so cold. The quality of play that night, the players were able to perform in
yeah,
a situation where the weather was really cold and the excitement and the energy around the opening of the ballpark. And it was a 2-1 game. So I'll never forget the quality of play on both sides on a miserably cold night.
yeah. It was. I remember we were down there getting some audio of just the fans. What did they think of the park and everything? Da da da. And I forget who I was with, and they just turned to me and go, "Let's go back to the press box."
Yeah, it was, and it just dropped too. You know, at the
Yeah,
beginning of the game, you felt like, okay, if it hangs in there, we can tolerate this. Well, it didn't. It dropped probably 6 to 8 degrees during the game. And again, we lost 2-1 that night. We had the bases loaded with 2 outs, and we had a really good hitter up, and he took a 3-2 pitch for a strike to end the game. So, really good game, entertaining. Tough for the fans to hang in there though, because that was cold.
yeah, it was. Uh, let's talk a little bit about your bullpen and your closer situation this year.
Well, a closer, we like Garrett Langrell. He's a transfer. And Garrett had really 2 good outings this past weekend.
Yeah,
He's a low slow slot guy. He's about a 6'7" right-hander with a low slot with a lot of movement. Throws, 89 to 91, 92 with a sweeping breaking ball. So I really like him a lot. And then Shane Curtin, left-hander returns from last year's teams, pitched with us. Now this is his third year. Left-hander that'll throw 88 to 91 with a traditional breaking ball and a changeup. And Shane's off to a little bit of a slow start, but we're very confident in his ability. And then we've added a couple pieces. We have a right-hander by the name of Joe Hauser, transferred in from Minnesota, 89 to 92, um, with a really good slider. We got another right-hander, a transfer from Xavier by the name of Matt Ackerman. Matt's really off to a great start. Had two really good outings, um, one each weekend. So we're really excited about him. So it's something that we're still working with. We're still trying to figure out that bullpen. Anybody who's watched us play over the years realizes that the bullpen has always been a huge part of our success from a pitching standpoint. And I'd like to have a six-man bullpen if we could. Right now, I think we're probably at three or four. So hopefully, with each weekend, we can find another player or two to add to that bullpen.
Give us a little update. I love when you do this. Give us a little update on past players, where they're at, how they're where they're at with maybe spring training. Some of the maybe not some of the veteran guys, but some of the guys recently and where they're at.
Well, it's funny that you ask because I spent some time at the airport yesterday tracking that. Al Roden, who played here just a couple years ago,
Yeah.
is in league camp with the Blue Jays. He had two hits yesterday, started in left field. Will Robertson, who played on the 19 team, is also with the Blue Jays, also in big league camp with the Toronto team. He played yesterday. He was 1 for 2. Nicky Lopez today. I checked with Nick. He's with the Cubs now, and he's working hard to make that club. It's going to be a tough roster to make, but Nicky was 2 for 3 today. So Ty Block has not been picked up yet. So Ty's still on the market as a free agent. But I think Al Roden's got a chance to make the big club. It's too bad that both Al Roden and Will Robertson, two Creighton guys, are probably fighting for one spot
Yeah.
with Toronto. That's too bad. Um, and we're pulling like crazy that Nicky has a great spring training because that's his town, that's his team, the
Yeah.
Cubs. And how cool
Yeah.
would it be for Nicky to play for the Chicago Cubs, no matter what role they would have for him. And I've had a chance to visit with Nick a lot in the off season, and he's worked really hard to build up his body, to build up some strength. Defensively, he's an all-star. He wants to get better offensively, and he's worked hard to do that. And so far, I think he's 3 for 6 in spring training games with the Cubs. So he's off to a good start.
I'll never forget. I think we you brought Nicky to Hilltoppers one night, and he said, "Yeah." They asked him just, and he says, "Yeah, I got there, and they saw me take about 10 ground balls, and they said, you don't need to be here anymore. You can go hit because you obviously have been coached well and know how to handle the infield and know and your footwork and everything." So that's a tribute to you and the guys that go into the major leagues or minor leagues or whatever, and that they're ready to go when you get there.
Well, we've always been a developmental program, Tim, but you can't develop players if they choose not to want to be developed.
Sure.
And Nicky was always very coachable. Just such a fun time spending time with him as an infielder, watching him just get better and better and better. And it's funny when we were out in Portland this weekend, a couple of our former players came out to the games. I didn't realize Zach Davis lives in Portland. If you
Oh,
remember, Zach Davis was a part of
sure.
the 05-06 team, a
Sure.
sixth round draft choice by the Red Sox, got up to AAA, and Zach lives out in Portland. And Daniel Goodrow, who just got done playing a couple years ago, Woody got all the way up to AAA with the Tigers. He lives in Seattle. So he drove down from Seattle to Portland, about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive to spend some time with us. So it's really cool to see some of these former players who are now no longer playing, but they had a lot of success as players, and to really find out what they're up to nowadays. And thankfully, most of them are very successful.
You mentioned Will Robertson, and I just every time I hear his name, I just think about one of the sweetest swings you ever wanted to see.
Yeah, and it's always interesting when the freshmen come on campus. The upperclassmen are always very anxious to see them take BP for the first time. And I remember when Will took BP on campus for the first time, our upperclassmen went, "Oh, okay, we can count on this guy right now. He's not one of those guys that's going to wait till he's a junior to play. He's going to play right now." Because Will took about as impressive BP as anybody we've had, especially as a young player, as a freshman. So he was very mature, very strong. You're right, Tim. He had a great swing, and again, just a pleasure to be around. And we're happy that Will's knocking on the door of a big league club. I just wish those guys weren't in the same
Yeah,
organization, you know.
yeah. The ball sounded different coming off his bat, man.
Yeah, yeah, he could generate
Yeah,
velocity and power and speed, bat speed. And he again, he got a whole lot better during his time here, and he's gotten a whole lot better in the minor leagues too. It's just they played on the same team in AAA last year, Al Roden and Will Robertson. How many programs can say they had two guys on the same team in
yeah,
triple?
yeah.
So
Crazy.
what happens? I hope one of them makes it, and maybe with a little luck, they both make it.
Well, Will hit that one. Didn't he hit that one in the upper deck when you played indoors at
In Minnesota.
yeah,
Yeah, we were playing at where they play the football games. They transformed that into a baseball field in the off season, and yeah, Will hit one of the furthest ones. I don't think we had hit tracks back in those days. It would have been interesting to measure how far that went because that's one of the furthest ones we've seen. And it's funny that Al Roden the next year hit one too, about as far. So they both hit home runs in that facility as far as we've seen anybody hit one during our
crazy.
time. We've played about 6 games there when they've made that into a baseball field, and Will and Al hit two of the furthest ones.
That's a great idea. Like they did. They used to. Do they still have that tournament? They used to have like a little tournament and.
They're not playing there this year. I think they're upgrading their turf.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah,
they're not allowing anybody to play there. But the Gophers always have, at least two weekend tournaments where they bring in some high profile teams to play there because you're guaranteed to play, right?
right, right,
So teams aren't afraid to go north if they're guaranteed to play. So,
sure.
but this year I think they're doing some either changing out the turf or doing some other remodeling
Yeah,
to
I
those.
think they're changing the turf there because that turf has been during studies maybe create some injuries, and they've had some injuries, so they're switching it out to this other turf or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the NFL has done a lot of research on the different types of
Oh,
turfs to keep these. They got to keep those players healthy somehow.
yeah. So as most people know, this is your final season at Creighton. Unfortunately for me, because I love being around you. Um, and you got the coach in waiting, Mark, here. How has that relationship gone, and how much of a help has he been to you, and so forth, of getting everything rolling?
Well, I think it's been interesting. I mean, he's used to being a head coach, and I obviously know the ins and outs of Creighton. I think he's very curious to find out how things work here. So he's been really observant of the ins and outs because every university is a little different, and and we certainly are. And I think he's done a great job in getting comfortable with the players, and for the players to get comfortable with him. Um, I'm sure he's going to make a few changes next year, and that's obviously very normal. But this year, I think he's been respectful of how we like to do things. So it's been good. I think I give the players a ton of credit for being open-minded to some of the changes that took place this offseason. And I just couldn't be more pleased with how they're doing. Because at the end of the day, this is all about the players. This is not about Ed Servais. It's not about Coach Kingston. This is about the players. And I so desperately want the players to have a great experience. This is a talented group, Tim, like you mentioned. It's an older group. It would be easy for them to kind of be closed-minded,
Sure.
and they're not. So I just cannot say enough about the players and how they've been responsive. It's been a lot of fun being around them, and I look forward to us getting better week by week. And I'm anxious for us to have the kind of season that I think they've worked for. So all in all, it's been good. It's not been easy. It's been different. Change can be hard sometimes, especially when you get to be old like me, But I appreciated what those guys have done, and I appreciate what the players have done to be open-minded to this new era here that we're going through.
Can you promise me one thing? Can you get into some? Can there be some sort of like controversy in some series this year? Because those are always the most enjoyable moments when you tell the story.
Well, I'm sure there will be when you play as many games. We got close to it this weekend already.
That's
So
what I heard.
you know, when things get when we get into the league and we've started to develop some nice rivalries, which is
Yeah.
great. I think you'll potentially see a little bit of that because we got a team that's hungry. With these guys they want to kind of wash what we did the last couple of years away, and they want to get back to where we should be, and that's in that conference tournament and hopefully into a regional situation. So I would anticipate that there'll be some stuff, and like you say, there's always good stories that go along with those.
Any changes to the rules this year? Any?
Well, one change you'll see is the safety base at first base. We will use it in conference. We'll use it at all of our games at the stadium. So far in our 6 games, this past weekend, we had a safety base. The first weekend, we did not. But I think that's one thing that'll be very noticeable when the folks come to a game is they'll see the two bases out there. Another thing is when pitchers come into games, they're going to check you just like they do in the big leagues for
Oh,
any kind of foreign substance because I can't believe it, but I guess some pitchers are doing that. I hate to act like I'm naive, but I would be a little naive to that whole process. I don't understand why we would try to create an edge that way. I think there are people that are doing that, Tim. So uh, the NCAA has made it kind of optional this year, and the Big East decided to do it. And I think next year it'll be mandatory that every pitcher comes in. They're going to check you before. Now, in the big league game, they check you after. But
right.
what sense does that make? So let's say you come into a game with the bases loaded and 2 outs and you punch a guy out, right? And they check you afterwards. They should check you before the at bat starts. So the first weekend they did that. The second weekend here at Portland, they did not. But
Oh,
I know
okay.
when we get into league play, they will. So that'll be something that's a little different that folks normally haven't seen in college baseball.
They probably do it in the major leagues because they can find that guy for college. What are you going to do?
Well, those guys I mean, there's a lot of money involved, obviously, at the big league level. So, and there's now some money trickling into the college game too,
Sure,
right?
sure.
But I would hope that we as coaches, um, impress upon our players not to look for those edges. The edges have to come through your work ethic, through your preparation, and not towards trying to doctor your bat or trying to doctor the baseball a little bit to try to get the ball to do something that you can't do on your own. So I would hope that in college we are trying to maybe make a strong impression on our players not to look for those shortcuts.
Yeah, let's hope somebody's not out there banging a trash can when a curveball's coming.
Yeah, that would be another. And with the new things now, Tim, as you see when you come to games now, all the guys are wearing wristbands, right? And
Yeah,
the signs are going through the wristbands. So there's really no way to pick a sign anymore, either from a third base coach or when you're on the bases from the catcher. There's really no way to do that like there was 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah, that's a big improvement. Um, well, Coach, been great chatting with you. One of many I'm sure we'll have. Best of luck in Charleston. Real great opportunity for the team, no doubt.
It is. This is our best opportunity right now. And I told the players on Sunday when we got rained out that there'll be some eyeballs on this series now. It's not nothing against Portland and nothing against UNC Greensboro. They're both going to win their share of games. But Charleston, this is a little different deal here. And if we can go on the road and get some things done, I think it'll say a lot about our club. So I think they're going to be excited. I'm looking forward to getting on the field the next couple of days, working on some things that we know we're going to see against Charleston, and then teeing it up and see what we can do.
Yeah, and I'm happy that the weather's nice. You'll probably only have to wear one layer.
Well, I can't tell you how many layers I wore in Greensboro. A quick count, I can only count to 4 or 5. So it was, Yeah, it was a challenge. And then Portland, a little different challenge. I'm sure there'll be some night games in March and April in Omaha where I'll be layered up pretty good too. But
Well,
this
there always is.
this weekend I may only have one on.
Yeah. I remember
It'll
a
be,
couple of years ago, I went to a game, though. It was like, I want to say middle or late March, and we were in shorts. I mean, it was,
I saw a lot of people walking around campus today in shorts.
oh,
So
I'll bet.
I'm
I'll
good for
bet.
you because last week you can only imagine what they were
Oh,
dressed. I mean, that was some brutal cold
yeah, you
last
got
week.
out of town just in time.
We did.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. That is head baseball coach Ed Servais of the Creighton Blue Jays as they head out to Charleston, take on College of Charleston this weekend in a big series. Um, Charleston very highly regarded. So Ross had to leave. I'm sorry. We were going to talk a little bit more about the game yesterday, but for all the breakdown of all the basketball game yesterday, check out Blue Jay Banner. Go to our YouTube channel, just like you see this one there, and you'll see the post game show, which we had in depth. We had Mitch Ballack and we had Ty Davis. First time we've had Ty on the show, which was great. He's a great interview and great to talk to. But I do want to just talk about a couple of things here. First of all, the news. There was the golf team, which normally doesn't, as far as cool things they get. A new indoor facility was opened for the golf team, for both men's and women. So that's going to be a huge help to the golf team. And as Marcus said in his statement, that these programs are really on the rise, and they are. Man, the teams have jumped out of nowhere to compete really strongly and put out some great golfers along the way as well. So that's going to be a great help to the golf programs. I just want to talk also about Infusion Brewing Company. Go to their website, infusionbrewing.com. Check out all they have to offer. We had a fabulous event on last Thursday at Infusion Brewing. It was bitter cold, but yet we had a great turnout. The event was sponsored by Blue Jay Manor and by RTI Threads. They had a ton of merchandise there. We had Morgan Malley, Lauren Jensen, and Isaac Trout all there, as well as Coach Flannery and Mitch Ballack, and they were all terrific. And we're there. Infusion is very excited about the events they've had. They've just loved them. So is RTI Threads. So look for many more of those to come in the future. I don't know if we'll get one this spring yet, but maybe. And then definitely when we get into the fall, when sports kicks up again, we'll definitely have another event out there. But they've got many craft beers, lagers, including obviously the Let It Fly beer, which you can not only get there, but at Let It Fly Sports Bar and in the arena as well. And just fabulous. I had what was more like a lager. It was a cowbell. I had to do it in honor of Saturday Night Live, and it was excellent. So check it all out. That's Infusion Brewing Company. And wow, another great sponsor is West Pacific Dental Group, Dr. Hogan. I'm going to go see him tomorrow and get my cleaning done. The staff is wonderful. They've been a longtime sponsor of Blue Jay Manor. And if you need it, whether it's a dental emergency or just need a checkup, head over to West Pacific Dental Group. They will give you compassionate care and consult you on every move through the whole process. So give them a call, 402-697-0765. That's 402-697-0765. Couple of things to look out for. I got guys who follow my bracketology, a new bracket again tomorrow. Looks like Jay's going to fall at number 7 again this week. We are a week from Thursday going to have another Banner Brackets mock selection committee. Now, this is the one where we pick the entire field. So you'll want to get put that on your calendar as well. And most importantly, this is probably the earliest I've had this on the calendar, but I think it's July. Let me double check the date. I believe it's July 26th. Is the next edition of the Blue Jay Banner Golf Tournament. So, yes, July 26th, Saturday, 8 o'clock. Dodge Park Riverside Golf Course again. Fabulous. We're going to go downtown again like we did last year to Let It Fly for the post-game party. And silent auction, give away all the raffle prizes, and hopefully have one of the coaches down there speaking to the group as well. So the event filled up fast last year. It was a sellout. So make sure When the time comes, get it on your calendar right now, and then we'll let you know when the registration is open here another month or so after we get through this next month of basketball. We'll open up the registration. As we mentioned, a week from next weekend is the opening of the home season for baseball. So they play UC Davis. So start putting that on your calendar now, especially if we get some nice weather. Wednesday, as I mentioned, Austin's going to be doing the game. I got to check if he's going to be available for post game. I hope so. But Austin Chapman and John Bishop are going to make the radio call. The game is again on Peacock, so it gives you a couple days to figure out how the heck you're going to find Peacock. And they take on the Hall Blue Demons, who are at the bottom of the league, along with Seton Hall. Kind of an interesting team, though. I've kind of enjoyed watching them this year. They've got a couple of nice pieces. I don't in any way, shape, or form think they're gonna, take down Creighton on Wednesday night. But we kind of kicked some of the rust off Sunday. We were off a whole week, and so it'll be nice to get back and get into a rhythm and hopefully get a big lead. Give some of those, our guys that logged the heavy minutes, Jemiah, Steven, and Kalk, a little bit of a break because obviously huge game Saturday at Xavier, and so if we can win Wednesday and then win that one as well, we are in great shape to take second, to lock up second place, and still have that outside chance at taking down St. John's, tying St. John's for the conference title. St. John's has a game this week at Butler. It's probably, other than their last game at Marquette, this game is probably the one where probably the best chance to lose, frankly. So that's another thing to watch for. Women, as we said, keep on rolling, 23-4, and just an enormous game Thursday night against UConn. That's basically for the conference title. Jays hope to go in there and get the victory. Let's hope we've had better success actually on the road against UConn than we have at home. So hopefully things will flip around and we'll have another good effort on the road. Let me check and see. I believe, if I remember correctly, that game. Let's see. That game is on CBS Sportsnet. Yeah, was right. CBS Sportsnet, 6 o'clock Thursday night. Man, that's must-view TV. Let's see if we can't pull the upset. And then the final game of the regular season will be Sunday against Villanova. So last chance to see this terrific team at home. So make sure you do that. Okay. That's about wrapping it up for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We will see you Wednesday night on the Blue Jay Banner YouTube channel right after the Paul Creighton game. It's a late nighter, so join us late night. We'll have a drink or two and break down the game and get ready for the Xavier game on Saturday. So see you then. Go Jays.